Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy, he's Tim. And this is Second Legacy. And thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we have got to talk about the new sin taxes because it turns out your Second Amendment rights are sins and you must be paid accordingly for said sin taxes. Just watch this whole video. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear from you guys on this one in the comments field. And of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Tim, have you been sinning recently? Do you need to pay more taxes?
I sinned this morning. I put my Sinster on this morning, as I always do, and I peruse through the safe of sin, and just make sure everybody's doing well,
Sounds like a naughty film. The safe of sin.
The safe of sin, yes.
Man, we should tax you for that. That's a lot of rights you're exhibiting. There should be a cost per, maybe like a scalable model.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
The more guns you own, the more taxes you pay. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. What could go wrong? Because, it turns out, if you guys are not familiar, California, the Gavster, Newsom himself, the hair gel fiend, has come out and signed some brand new taxes and sensitive places just for you guys. Because this makes sense. Sounds like someone, Tim, was a little upset that they lost their magazine ban. That's what it sounds like.
I know. It's like, well, you got that one struck down. Well, I got another one for you right here. It's just, we've talked about this, right? They just want to bombard the courts with this stuff because they know it's going to get shot down. They just think that by jamming the courts up, maybe, I don't know, they're going to win through attrition. I don't know what the strategy is here.
I honestly don't know either. And, it's funny. You just said something I thought was interesting. In my comments for my video last night when I covered this, actually not a lot, but one person's like, yeah, we know it's going to be struck down, but I'm just so sick of dealing with this. Why do we have to keep dealing with this? I'm like, and I don't want to get into it in a comments, field, but it's kind of like, because this is their move. Like, they're going to keep infringing consistently. Like, this is what they do. They have to get some sort of political ploy to get points, to look like they're doing something that's going to do nothing so that they can get elected for their own ambition. That's the way this works. Your Second Amendment rights are the currency.
It's the shotgun approach, too. To governance, right? So we're just going to throw everything we can at the wall, and eventually something's going to stick. Something's going to slip through the court in their favor, right? So all they got to do is just keep trying, and I think that's probably, as George Bush would say, the strategy of all this. They're just trying to get something to stick. They're just trying to overwhelm the courts. They know this stuff isn't going to go anywhere, but they're going to keep trying. And in the interim, it harasses the snot out of law-abiding citizens in the state of California.
Yeah, and that's an important piece. It's the blue bastions are the ones doing this. It's not everywhere. Like people are doing it on the federal level. They're trying to get these things passed. They're doing irritating things with the executive branch through the ATF. But on the state level with the governors, this is really only happening, and they're getting away with it temporarily in the short term in blue states. Mm-hmm. In the purple and red states, it's not happening, and that's about 40 of them. So I just want to throw that out there. But let's go with number 2, Mr. Producer. Check this out. So California governor signs law raising taxes on guns and ammunition to pay for school safety. Hey, Tim, I thought hardening schools made things into a prison and it was evil and terrible and it was a horrible idea. And how could you dare do that when it's so common sense you could just ban guns?
That was just yesterday.
Oh.
People's opinions are fluid. They change, sometimes hourly, daily, weekly. Yeah.
Just their opinions. Don't answer that, please. Just their opinions, huh? Okay.
Just their opinions.
Just their opinions. Good. I'm glad. Thank you for being disciplined. You are on it this morning. I love that. Well, so I guess what angle do you want to take here, Tim? Do you want to hit the actual taxes or the sensitive places? What's your fancy to start off?
Well, I'm kind of partial to the taxes because I am, a stickler for taxes. I hate them. Taxation is theft. Yes, we get taxed on our taxes. I could go down a whole litany of things that they do to us, and people say, well, today's National Tax Day. They take 30-40% of our income. No, try again. More like 60-70% because you pay taxes on taxes, and everything in life is taxed and taxed again, and it's just to the point where we're saturated with them. So him levying this tax against firearms owners. Basically, so what he's done is he's placed a new tax on the ownership, the purchasing of firearms and ammunition. Yep. And so what is the point of this? Well, he says it himself. It's a sin tax. Yes, folks, you exercising your constitutional rights is a sin. And we here in California are here to save you from sin because we're sin-free in California. And to stifle that sin, we're going to put a tax on it. That should make it go away. And that is what they've done. But the Supreme Court's talked about this in the past.
A little bit. Let me throw some numbers to you guys. I'm going to show you the article we're referencing. So this is from the AP. Then we're going to hit exactly what Tim's talking about. So number 3, Mr. Producer, California will ban people from carrying firearms in most public places while doubling the taxes on guns and ammunition sold in the state under 2 new laws. Newsom signed Tuesday that will test the limits of the U.S. Supreme Court. It'll test it. But here's the actual breakdown. The federal government already taxes the sale of guns and ammunition either 10% or 11%, depending on the type of gun. Insert NFA topic item here. The law Newsom signed adds another 11% tax on top of that, making California the only state with a separate tax on guns and ammunition, according to the gun control advocacy group Brady. So, Tim, I think it's so fascinating when they do this because they always show you something that everyone kind of forgot. So for this sin tax that Newsom just signed into law, 10 to 11% on top, it mirrors the federal. And if the argument against this is you can't tax a right, you kind of go, well, wait a minute. What about that 10 to 11% that's been around for 100 years? What's that about?
So
hold on a second.
What we're going to talk about in this video is we've talked about this before. Nobody seems to follow court decisions. The courts can go out there and make these decisions, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, they finally did something great. They did it right. Oh my gosh, this is fixed. And then everybody just ignores it and they continue on doing things that they want to do anyway in violation of the court and the Constitution. So the federal government has this excise tax. And so if you manufacture or import a firearm, you have to pay this excise tax before you can put it on the market. And they want their money. They will put you out of business if you're not paying that excise tax. So manufacturers are very careful to make sure that they count the number of firearms they produced and they pay their taxes accordingly. Well, as you said, Gavin Newsom knows that this is an area that's contested within the Supreme Court because they've actually ruled on things like this in the past. And so he's like, well, if I just mirror what the feds have done with the 11% tax, then I can slide under the radar because I can go, whoa, wait, you guys are doing this yourselves.
Exactly.
So the Supreme Court's going to have to tackle both of these, which actually is a good thing in my view, right? With the Supreme Court we have right now, this may once again blow up in their faces where not only does the California tax get taken away, but so does the federal tax.
And what else, Tim? And what else?
Well, we're talking about the NFA here as well, right?
Yep.
So so the NFA has nothing to do with this excise tax. That's a tax. Again, a tax of a tax of a tax. This is something completely different, but yet again, a tax specifically applied to the exercising of your constitutionally protected rights. Something the Supreme Court, once again, I've said before, has talked about in decisions, and we'll get to that.
Yep. Oh, we're going to do it right now. Mr. Producer, let's throw up number 1. So what you are looking at, beautiful people of the Second Legacy, this is Murdoch versus Pennsylvania in 1943. As you can see, highlighted excellently by Tim, I might add. Number 4 and 5, a state may not impose a charge for the enjoyment of a right granted by the federal Constitution. Any questions, Gavster? Okay?
Right. Pretty
Number
clear.
5. It's pretty clear.
Not much ambiguity in that statement.
Not a lot wiggling there. The flat license tax here involved restrains in advance the constitutional liberties of press and religion and inevitably tends to suppress their exercise. Tim,
literally what he said he's trying to do.
Wow, it's almost like there's a tie-in. Did the Gapster read this and go, this is a great idea, I'm going to do that?
Yeah.
It's right here in existing case law.
Well, again, you nailed it early on in the video. He knows what he's doing. He knows this law, this decision exists in others. This isn't the only one. There are other cases going back to the turn of the century where you're talking about taxes levied against newspapers, and the Supreme Court said you can't tax a constitutionally protected right. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the decision. Here we have Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. Again, you cannot tax a constitutionally protected right. You cannot apply a tax to try to dissuade people from exercising their constitutionally protected rights. And yet, that's exactly what Gavster did here, and he even boasted about it in video, saying, "Oh, it's a sin tax.
It's just
your rights are a sin, and we're going to tax them."
You know what just gets my goat? Now you got me all animated. Okay, so what really gets my goat is the exact people who bludgeon anybody and everybody who says there's any sin whatsoever, there's any evil in the world, there's any type of choice that's not that a moral alignment can decide or not decide. There is no right or wrong on the planet. And if there is, you're a meanie and a bigot and a bad person because you say there's a sin. But then he comes out and goes, well, if you like those firearms, that's a sin. So we're going to tax that sin. You can't. You have no moral equivalency whatsoever until it comes to gun rights. Then all of a sudden, well, you're sinning, so we're going to pay for those. You
Yeah.
piece of...
And it's not just California. We've had other states pass taxes on ammunition, like 5 cents a round and things like that they're trying to do. There's all these states attempting to make similar moves to tax your constitutionally protected rights. And it's so in your face, and it's so wrong at so many different levels. If it were applied to any other constitutionally protected right, people would be up in arms about it.
Absolutely.
But because, once again, it applies to the Second Amendment, you have half the population just going, oh yeah, we don't like guns, so tax them away. We don't care about the whole rights thing. You know, that's ancillary to the whole discussion. Matter of fact, who even really needs rights? I mean, come on, a bunch of guys in powdered wigs thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, we don't like that one.
Yeah,
we don't like that one. That's
freedom
is
so cliche. It's just overrated.
Oh, it was so in vogue at one time, and now it just gets in the way of safety and progress. Sadly, that really is the mentality of some of these lefties. It's just, man, and that's just the taxes, Tim. We're not even getting into the sensitive places yet. I mean, like,
I know
when you come out and listen to what he just said here. Like, just hit number 5, Mr. Producer. The laws were some of nearly 24 gun control measures Newsom signed on Tuesday. Quote, but he acknowledged many of these laws might not survive legal challenges. What?
So, yeah.
What?
Yeah. Here we have leaders. I also want to throw out there, because I saw this in the news today in San Francisco, California, of course. Piracy is back in play.
It's back in play?
Yeah. They have pirates now in San Francisco Bay pirating. What? They're going around robbing people from water. This? I know. It made the news this morning. I mean, the leadership under Gavin Newsom in California is so bad, they've actually brought piracy back to the Bay of San Francisco, something we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, this is leadership failed. And here he admits that this isn't going to stand scrutiny in the courts. We know this is going to fail, but hey, we're going to do it anyway. And in the interim, you get stuck with the tax and there will be no refunds. I mean,
it's so insane. And hold on, Tim, did San Francisco once again prove that everything comes back in fashion? Bell bottoms, piracy, all just comes back around?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You got to,
I look forward to reading that, do some research on that, some interesting stuff. Well, that's the taxes, Tim. You had your way. We talked about taxes.
Okay.
But now we got to talk about some boring stuff like sensitive places. I know, sensitive places, New York, Illinois, all these places who are sticking their finger in the eye of the Bruen decision. If you're not familiar, just a little recap for you guys. So, sensitive places is a response to the Bruen decision. So, the Bruen decision said that certain states couldn't have a regulatory regime that says, we might give you a concealed carry permit and we might not. And you might be able to keep to bear arms and you might not. We'll let you know. You just got to prove it. Well, that got struck down because it was so unconstitutional. And so these states came back and said, well, yes, you're right. According to the Supreme Court, you can carry your gun, but you can't do it here, basically anywhere. Is that a street? Yeah. Is that asphalt? Nope. I mean, literally, it's that egregious. Well, the Gavster decided to do the exact same thing with sensitive places in California in this. So he hit sin taxes and then he hit sensitive places. Really just made our Wednesday really irritating, to be quite honest with you. But let's hit number 7, Mr. Producer. This is from a Hill article this morning. Another significant bill signed into law on Tuesday is SB 2 by Senator Anthony Portantino, which will change the rules for carrying concealed weapons. California's new law requires permit holders to be 21, bans concealed weapons from most public places, parks, schools, government buildings, hospitals, and places where alcohol is sold, as well as at public demonstrations and gatherings. Okay, that pretty much checks every single box that you would ever carry a firearm.
A public gathering, like a restaurant, a major city, people just walking down the streets, that's a gathering. I mean, define gathering. Let's pick nebulous words and phrases and
you have to have a gun. You can conceal and carry a gun if you are in the middle of the forest with no humans within 100 yards.
As long as nobody can hear the gunshot, it doesn't exist.
To prevent crime where there's no humans.
One person hears that gunshot, you're getting taxed. They're getting taxed.
There are excises everywhere. Taxes. Everybody's got more taxes.
Oh my gosh,
these people, exactly. Well, the interesting thing is the response here, because the tax thing, that's going to get a different kind of response. But FPC, number 6, Mr. Producer, they already threw up a lawsuit on the sensitive places already, the day of. And the funny part is, Gavin Newsom was like being really hush-hush and close to the vest on this. He didn't say what he was going to do, and they still dropped it like same day. Today, Firearm Policy Coalition announced the filing of a new Second Amendment lawsuit challenging multiple parts of California SB 2, which unilaterally declares numerous locations as sensitive places where California will now ban the carry of firearms by licensed, law-abiding Californians. I mean, here's another lawsuit that we have to remember. Caralero versus Bonta. So that's another one that we got to be following about sensitive places.
Yeah, we're getting overwhelmed here too. I mean,
like we really are, like, legitimately.
Yeah, trying to keep track of all this stuff.
Trying to keep track of all these is I mean, like, you have to have a whole like war board with like strings tying one to the other.
Yeah, right.
But legitimately, this is already going to court. And the interesting part about this, and going back full circle, Tim, to what we've talked about consistently over and over and over again, the more they push, the more attention gets drawn on these things, and the more the judgeship has to look at what's going on, because they're being too brazen. They're just simply being too brazen.
Yeah. I wish the courts could just say, okay, look, this is getting ridiculous. Gavin Newsom, we're just going to throw out everything that you sign into law at this point. You've become a nuisance. So if the people of California don't have enough brain cells to rub together to get your butt out of office, we're just going to go ahead and negate everything that you can attempt to do. I mean, come on. Well, you're overwhelming the courts here. Go away.
That's exactly.
We're nullifying
they're
you.
Overwhelming. You've been nullified. Good day, sir.
Good day.
Like with the white
See
glove.
you at noon. Pistols.
Yeah.
Yes.
Legitimately, dude, they're just trying to overwhelm the court system for their own political advantage. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to do, because they keep on getting smacked down across the board, and these fights continue to drag out, and it's all about their talking point and their camera time. They're increasing taxes, which is unconstitutional. They're putting sensitive places in, which is then flying in the face of a recent Bruin decision. I mean, I know this is frustrating, because it's frustrating for us as well, but these are not the actions of people who have full control of the faculties of what they're handling. These are people who are flailing. Yeah. I mean, they're just throwing everything to the wall, to something that you said earlier. They are literally, ooh, is that a red flag law? Ooh, is that a yellow flag law? Ooh, how about we tax them? Ooh, is that a sin tax? How about sensitive place? It is literally just like throw it all against the wall and just...
And here's something else that people in California should be thinking about. Now, I get that the far left loons don't even care about money. Like, they think that as long as you own the printing presses, you can just make as much as you want. It's just numbers on a piece of paper. It has no relevance or meaning to anything greater than that. Just spend it, even if you don't have it. Doesn't matter. But the reality is, California is in constant financial crisis. And by doing these stupid things and going to court for all these stupid things, they're spending your tax dollars. Right? Going to court isn't free. It's quite expensive. If you take a look at the Bruin case, they've decided that like almost $500,000 is to be paid to the attorneys for Bruin.
Yeah, they did. That's right.
Right. So, I mean, not only did they have to go through the entire expense, the federal government, of fighting Bruin, but now they got to pay $500,000 to the attorneys of those people that challenged them in court. It's like, it is a very expensive thing to do. And so California, with all these stupid things that keep getting taken to court, you're throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars out the window once again in a state that constantly runs in the red. So, I mean, it's just bad governance at every single level. And the fact that so many people they should have recalled this guy, but so many people came out to keep him in place. I mean, the ignorance is so unreal at this point.
It's baffling. But that's one way. That's one part of the thing that you just brought up with the bad governance and the fiscal irresponsibility. That's one piece. But going back to staying on that same money topic that you just brought up, one thing that really bothers me, and this bothers me on a personal level, I'll just be flat out transparent with that. I think you mentioned this in our pre-show. The Democrats will typically, and this is like I said, when I say Democrats, these are leftist politicians in control, not everyday Democrats.
Not rank and file. These are the elected leaders, if you will.
The ones up there pushing the buttons. They will constantly pound the rhetoric of class warfare, of saying the rich versus the poor. They will constantly say the rich need to pay their fair share. They will constantly say that we need to increase these taxes on the rich to help out people who are not as economically advantaged. And then they will literally turn around and they will increase the fees and fees for licensure for concealed carry in blue states. They will increase the taxes like this in California. They will put increases on taxes per round in Illinois. Like, they will do all of these things which are going to dramatically increase the lowest economic denominator in our population against their rights, who arguably would need them more because of everyday exposure. And then they turn around and they say, well, those rich people, they just need to be taxed more, while they're taxing the everyday American on their rights. I mean, like, that's, to me, that's the biggest injustice. I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
Right, and to put, this is a little bit of a diversion, but to put some color on the conversation, we were talking about the levying of taxes against people that they deem to be undesirables. Well, these people are typically business owners and the wealthy and things like that, and something that Reagan had said years ago is like, when you go out and tax these people, you're backdoor taxing people that make far less. Because when you tax these corporations excessively and when you tax rich people excessively, do you really think they're just going to eat that cost? Or do you think perhaps they're going to pass that down to the people lower down on the totem pole? Well, of course they're going to pass that down. So the cost of goods and services continues to go up. And that's what Newsom's doing here, right? He's driving the cost of goods and services up. And so basically what he's saying with this increased taxation, it's like, you know what, folks, those of you living paycheck to paycheck, you don't really need your rights. But hey, these rich people we hate over here, they can afford their rights. They're okay. But we hate them, but they're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just all over the map.
It's just, to me, it's. I really wish people would pay attention to, not people watching this video, but I wish people who would pay attention to what's actually happening instead of what the rhetoric was. And I know that's a very big ask. Like, that's probably not ever going to happen, because that's just human nature in general and political rhetoric. And there's a reason they do it.
Right.
And they've been doing it for thousands of years, went all the way back to the Roman times, because apparently men talk about the Roman Empire every day. I don't know why that became a trend or a thing. I don't know. I mean, we just did. I mean, so there you go. It's proven. But, I think we covered this. We got taxes.
Yeah.
We got sensitive places. We've got infringements. We got lawsuits. It's fun for the whole family, Tim.
And it's going to court. So we'll see how this plays out. And I think I got a pretty good inkling how this is going to play out, because even the old Gavster knows how this is going to play out. He admits it right in the press release. Hey, Texans. Hey, Californians. Enjoy paying your taxes. Anyway.
Well, no, a lot of Texans, too. They're moving to Texas.
I know, they are moving to Texas. But those taxes, yeah. Anyway. Hate taxes. All right, folks. If you hate taxes, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.